Welcome to the best SubmitHub guide on YouTube. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of what the platform is. I'm going to show you how it works and how to interpret the data on the platform and show you and actually make a campaign together so you can get the most out of your money using SubmitHub. So first, what is SubmitHub? SubmitHub is a marketplace, essentially, where artists can pitch their music to what are known as curators. So you get a certain song, whether it's unreleased or it's already released, and you can choose which individual curators you want to send it to. And what is a curator? Well, one curator could be someone that owns a Spotify playlist. It could be someone that owns a blog, YouTube channel, Twitch channel, SoundCloud platform, whatever. You send them your song, you pay a credit, and the person has to listen to it and either accept it, share it to their platform, or reject it with feedback. And there's a myriad of options you can choose to customize what type of feedback, if you want any at all. And there's different ways to get credits. So the first thing I want to show you is this curator list so that we can go through the different numbers and metrics and how you can interpret the data on SubmitHub before we go and actually make a campaign together. So taking a look at this is just some random indie folk central. This was just the default that came up when I opened up the list of curators. And they have $3 signs because of the most expensive a person can be or a curator can be on SubmitHub at 3 credits. I'll go into the credit pricing system in a bit. They're a YouTube channel. They're called Indie Folk Central. They're currently taking a break from submissions, and then you get a little kind of description of what they're looking for that you can translate into a different language if you need. Every curator will get a genre history. Based on recent approvals, they prefer indie folk, singer-songwriter folk. They like chill and sad moods. They have this quality. This is just a relative kind of 1 out of 10, 1 to 10 range of their general quality. You can click Learn More and get detailed stats. So they've received 41,000 submission. They respond to 100% of them, and they've approved 5.5%. So super, super competitive, right? But they have 85,000 to 135,000 average plays on their YouTube channel. So they're super engaged, they're expensive, and the competition is super fierce. We'll come back to this when we make a campaign together. Now, they do have Spotify playlists, and this is a cool thing about SubmitHub, is that if you're pitching, and you can sort to just filter and send to a certain curator, which I do recommend doing. But if you're pitching to Spotify, I highly recommend that you look at the playlist that a curator has, because the number one reason an artist gets rejected on SubmitHub is that the curator doesn't really have a place to even share the song at all. And this is why so many artists get feedback that's something along the lines of, oh, really good song, really good production, really good writing and vocals, but it just doesn't fit in my playlist, sorry. So it's kind of that thing that everyone complains about, that this person loved my song, but they didn't share it. What the hell, this is a scam. And maybe in some cases you get gypped because this is just a marketplace and some curators don't know what they're doing. Some of them are just kids that happen to have a big audience, right? You don't know. But in general, everyone on the platform is trying to do their best. But artists also have to do their best if you expect to get the best results on the platform. So moseying on along, let's take a look at some of these filters over here. And actually, one more thing on this playlisting. You can see the number of tracks, the genre focus, and the genres on there, and the monthly listeners and the average time in the playlist, along with the number of songs they've had in there. But you can also click Learn More, and it's going to pop up this thing that shows the growth of the playlist. So you can make sure that you're not getting some sketchy playlist that looks like it's up and down like bots. And if you want to know how to detect fake playlists, check out this video I had right here, where you can kind of learn how you can detect fakery in the playlisting world. But SubmitHub does a great job of even finding locations and finding average audio analysis data on the music. You can look at every single song in the playlist, and of course you can just go to the playlist yourself and listen to it and look up similar playlists, which I believe is a fairly new feature that they've added, which I honestly have never used, but they're going to analyze the playlist and go find some similar playlists, which is really cool, and it even has links to their SubmitHub profiles if they have one. So very good research tool to make sure you're pitching to someone that actually makes sense to pitch to. Now, another thing I want to bring up, I do have a discount link for SubmitHub in the description, so if you want to use SubmitHub, you can get, I believe it's 10% off, and I don't know if it's one-time use or if it's multi-time use, but just check the link in the description and find out. It doesn't have to be your first campaign. Even if it's not your first campaign, you can use that coupon code and save 10%. So on that, let's talk a little bit about the credits. And we'll talk about all this filter stuff when we make an actual campaign. So the way that the credit system works is that curators either charge 1, 2, or 3 credits. The confusing thing is that credits aren't a fixed price. Meaning if I share my screen again and go up here to credits, I can do get more credits, and then depending on how many credits you buy will determine the price of the credits. If you buy 5, they're $1.20 per credit. If you buy 500, they're less than 80 cents. They're 78 cents per credit. Very often, I think they just added 500 because I used to just purchase the most and I would get 80 cents a credit at $80. But here's where you add that coupon that I just gave you as well if you're going to be purchasing some SubmitHub credits. So, if you buy 80-cent credits, right, then that means a 3-credit curator is $2.40. A 2-credit curator is $1.60. And the way that this works behind the scenes is essentially 50% of the money gets given to SubmitHub and 50% of the money gets given to the curator. And it's actually technically different than that. By default, a curator will get 50 cents. And then if they charge 2 credits, they get $1 per submission. And if they charge 3 credits, they get $1.50. So depending on how much those credits were purchased at, depends on how much SubmitHub the platform is making. The more credits you buy, the less money SubmitHub gets per submission. But the playlist owner always gets a fixed, like 50 cent, $1.50 per thing. And let's actually dive into what the curator has to do to get that money. So I apologize, I have to blur the hell out of this because I can't show the artist name, the song name, the cover art, and their email address, and basically anything on this page except for these buttons down here. Just I have to keep people's privacy. So, but generally the song comes in. Me as a curator, I would have to listen to it for a minimum of 20 seconds. And if I like it, I can click I like this song. And then I could choose to give it a proper share or a shout out in my Spotify playlist, and then it's done, right? If I don't like it, I have to listen for 20 seconds. I click not for me. There's all these warnings. This is actually a new thing, one-time pop-up, but this is the kind of thing that SubmitHub cares about. Like, do not use ChatGPT to write your feedback. We know it's not easy. We'll translate it for the artist, write in the language you're comfortable with. Say something specific. Let them know why it's not right, why it isn't a good fit. Try to make it about your personal experience. Don't tell them how to fix an already finished song. So all the people that complain to SubmitHub about the feedback, you're kind of preaching to the choir because Jason, the founder, and the team behind SubmitHub are constantly having to police the curators to make sure that they're doing a good job because their bad feedback falls upon the platform. So just so you have that context and know that like the curators are constantly struggling to do their best, the platform's struggling to do their best, and the artist, you, are trying to do your best. So if I click OK here, and by the way, I do have an interview video with the Jason, founder of SubmitHub, up here if you want to check that out. It's a pretty long chat, but you can kind of get a feel for what he's done. So here, I have the feedback. So I'm rejecting the song, feedback. I have to listen to at least 20 seconds before I decline it if I want to get that $1. Prove you've listened, but don't be critical. When we'll submit a song in just like a second, we're going to have to choose what kind of feedback we want to get. So that's the behind the scenes on the curator side. I thought it was important. I think it's important for all artists to understand what it's like on the other side. Because in general, like I'm in the curator chat and I see all the curators genuinely do care about their platform and getting results. But, you hear the small talk and, like, a lot of curators are like, why did this, like, look at this song that I got. I have, like, a folk playlist, and they sent me, like, a death metal folk song. I don't, So it has to be good on both sides for everyone to win on this platform. So now let's go make a campaign. So just to make things as easy as possible for myself, I'm just going to use my song Magnified, which has been released for months now. And normally, if you didn't have a song, you'd have to like upload the song and all that. But it's easy. You just give a link, upload an MP3 file, and then you're ready from there. But I already have this in here. So I'm going to click Submit. And this is the first decision that we have to make. I would recommend going with curators. Influencers are tricky to make worth it, just because you generally need a lot of TikTok influencers or Instagram influencers to make any kind of dent on streaming. In general, most people will focus on Spotify playlisting. But blogs can also be valuable as well for significant milestones in your music, like a new album release or a tour. So we're going to go with Submit to Curators here. If I click this Learn More, you get a little bit more information about this. And it does say they're often quite picky. Submit to Curators. Now we get to choose premium or standard credits. I haven't even mentioned free credits yet because honestly, getting results with free credits you only get 2 credits every 4 hours. You get no guarantee of response or feedback, but it is completely free. So that is something, like, if you're completely broke, go with this. But like, honestly, like, if you're gonna do SubmitHub, like, even if you just have like $20, like, it's gonna help a lot more than doing standard. So I figured it out. Now SubmitHub's always adding new features. It's pretty crazy how fast they're adding stuff, considering how little playlist push has changed over the past several years. I did do a video comparing playlist push to SubmitHub if you want to check that out right here. Moral of the story, SubmitHub is like 5 times cheaper per stream that you actually get on the other end. So I figured out some artists here. I'm just going to click save. And then now we get to genres. And this is another tricky thing because my music falls kind of in the cracks. And so I'm just going to choose alternative rock, even though it's not necessarily alternative rock. But let's choose another genre that's a little more electronic. And I would say perhaps indie electronic is probably the closest one. And I'm going to do close. So I've chosen 2 genres here. And then moods. I don't think you have to pick these. I don't know if any of these... This song's kind of energetic, but it's not really, so I'm going to skip it. Now, it asks us what kind of feedback you would like. If a curator does not want to share your song, we ask them to explain why. So there's a few options here. You can do specific and honest, and you can ask them what you want them to focus on. So if you want feedback in a certain area, you can do that. Average approval rate's 21% in this category. Please be gentle. Average approval rate, 21%. And then no feedback. Instead of giving feedback, they have to listen for 90 seconds. Don't use this. The average approval rate is nearly half what it is for these other 2 categories. So if you want to get better results, choose the feedback options, read this blog post that SubmitHub has here, and do that instead. Even if you never read the feedback, I recommend just asking for specific and honest, just because. Now, you enter in communication preferences, and you give some permissions and copyright. This isn't really relevant to Spotify or blogs generally, just more so YouTube and Twitch. So now we're actually in the platform itself. This is just like what we just looked at before. So I'm not going to cover all of this. Now, one of the biggest things that in the past Playlist Push had over SubmitHub is that it was automated. You could just type in some artists on Playlist Push and they would match you to curators. But that's one of the reasons why Playlist Push is generally such a bad idea compared to SubmitHub for most artists. But a lot of artists say, like, I don't care, I'd rather spend more, I don't want to spend the time. Well, now SubmitHub has a choose for me thing where you can go in and just let it pick for you based on everything you've entered. So that's an option. But I do recommend that you go in here and actually research each playlist. It's time consuming, but if you're trying to get the most out of your money, I would highly recommend that. So the first thing I like to do, we already picked genres, we entered under our artists. I like to go and filter, if I'm doing Spotify, just get Spotify. So I make sure that everyone here is just on Spotify. I type in shares to Spotify. I like leaving recommended picks generally. And let's hide, weekend mode is meaning like they're taking a break. You could choose if you want to choose those or not. Now, if you want to specifically, if you've done this multiple times already, you can pitch to people who have previously approved all songs or previously approved this artist. And so this is a trick that a lot of people I know use to drastically improve their acceptance rates. Because over time, especially if you own a label, but if you're an artist too, you might have a list of like 50 people who have accepted your music. So when you have a new song, you're going to get a really good... I've seen artists get a 75% acceptance rate. Remember, the average is 20. So if you get a 50% acceptance rate, you're crushing it. But we're not going to do that right here. Now, another thing I recommend you do is over here in the approval rate, I probably wouldn't bother pitching to people who are rejecting 90% or more, because that just seems like a pipe dream. And I probably don't want to send to people who approve more than 90%. So over here, we have 93 curators. If I update now, that filtered us down to 58. So we've kind of honed in on things that are more likely for us. If I go to price, generally I turn off 3 creditors just because if there's enough curators in general, then I'd rather just go with the cheaper ones. Genre match, you can choose a slider if you want to only look at things that are at least a 5 out of 10, going up to a 10 out of 10. And now we're down to 32 curators. This is a much more manageable list than the like 100 we started with. So now you can sort them by either genre match, it's probably the best one, engagement, quality, or if you wanted, approval rate. So if I go to this this curator, their approval rate is actually, it's right over here because it's customized for indie electronic. They really like indie electronic and they share it, but they prefer not to receive alternative rock. Their average approval rate is 57.1%. They have similar artists here, and you can learn a little bit about it. And you can go check out their playlist. Pretty engaged. 600 to 1,000 listeners on a playlist is quite awesome. Now, this person's on a break, so we'll zoom by them. Indie Discoveries, same kind of thing. Average approval rate 31%. Alternative rock. You can go check out their playlist. And what I would do, it's your, this top one here, they don't want alternative rock, so I'd probably say they're not going to like my song. This person prefers not to receive indie electronic. Probably not like my song. Same with this one. Wouldn't like my song. Now we get a person that likes both. They have an average approval rate of 22%, and they've shared 30 songs in the last 6 months, and they respond to half their submissions, and they've had about 8,000. Actually, I know this guy. I released a song with Rex Arkham, and he watches the video. So shout out Rex Arkham. I have a high. I guarantee you're watching this video at some point, which is funny. So you can go and see his playlist. 50 to 80 monthly listeners, 5 to 10 monthly listeners. So you can know like if this is a person worth submitting to. Like do you fit in rap rock genre benders? It's funny that SubmitHub matched this because this is like actually a perfect fit of a curator. And so like him, I would definitely add because it's a pretty damn good fit. It's 2 credits. And so you just go through this list and find all the curators that make sense one by one. And I know this guy too. It's a small world, this playlisting, SubmitHub kind of thing, curation thing. So, go through, select them all, and now I could choose submit at the bottom right. And here I can write a quick pitch. And this would be, it's really short, but you'd write something like these examples that they have here. In general, actually, I'd probably focus more on the story of your song and maybe even if certain like promotional elements or advantages you have. So you could say, this is a song about heartbreak and blah, blah, blah. This is a song about coping with my depression, blah, blah, blah. But you could also mention, I have an Instagram following of 10,000 people, and I'm going to be shouting out every single playlist that shares me. Because remember, at the end of the day, curators are just people. And people like stories, and people like attention. So if you can give them a compelling story that makes them resonate with the song, they're more likely to listen. Even if it's not everyone, a certain percentage of the people will be more likely to listen and consider your song. And if you are reaching out to a person you know the name of them, you really like what you do, if you can compliment them, that's also going to help. When I get a song sent to me, and I don't do all the submissions on my platform, I have other people that help me out with submissions. But when I get one that's like, Andrew, I'm a huge fan of your channel. I love what you do, and I love your music. I'd love it if you checked out my song. Like, I'm not going to share it if it's a horrible song or if it's a bad fit for my playlist. But if I was on the fence about it, I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, this person really loves what I'm doing. And if I share their song, they're really going to appreciate it. Like, maybe it was like a little, like if my threshold is a 7 out of 10, it's like a 5 or 6 out of 10. I'll be like, yeah, whatever, just share it, right? And that's human nature. So try to think about that when you're writing your pitch. And additionally, when you're on here, you can also essentially block or favorite curators. And you can also look at their recent shares and look at feedback and look at their fans. Now I want to go through what it's like on the other side after doing your campaign. So this is just a list of all the campaigns I've submitted. And we're just going to take a quick look at them so you kind of know what to expect. So if I go into, I did 7 campaigns in this. I got 58 responses and 20 approvals. And the reason why there are 7 campaigns is because very often what I do, especially if I'm unsure about the genre, is I might do one campaign for this song, like future-based, do another campaign for EDM, do another campaign for another genre, and then just do them all at small budgets and see what I get for approval in each genre. And then When I know that, okay, this genre seems to be doing the best, then I'll go in and throw in like, you know, a bigger budget. Like, and I'm talking like start off with $10, $10, $10. And then once you get good results, throw in like $30 or $40. I never do like a huge SubmitHub campaign. It's usually, if I think it works for this song, like $50 or something in total, maybe like 75. And that's an important distinction that some genres will struggle a lot more. So I recommend starting low, seeing what SubmitHub can do and what's available for your genre. And if it works good, keep doing it. If it works bad, it might just not be for your type of music. Like curation fundamentally is a lot harder if you fall between the cracks in a lot of genres and if you're in a niche thing, just because there's less options. But there's 7 campaigns here. I could go look at all of them in here, which is cool, but I'm gonna go back and look at responses. And these are all the responses that I got. So you can filter this and look at, you know, every single category. Let's just look at declines. All right, so we're gonna look at some feedback here. Sorry, any of these curators, if I make fun of you in advance. Hi, I like the energy, dope drop, the lyrics didn't catch me. Like I get it, right? The lyrics didn't catch me. I think it's a stupid reason, but like, you know, whatever, it's feedback. Thank you for submission. Nice strong hooks and catchy track overall. Professional production. From my playlist perspective, this was too much uplifting. I'm looking for a deeper vibe to it. All the best with this new release. Like this is the kind of feedback again. Like they're loving the song, but they're just like, nope. Hey Andrew, thanks for sending this over. Nicely done. Won't really fit my clubbish sounds playlist. This was a close one for my EDM curation. Would have liked to have heard more percussive exploration that catch me by surprise a bit more. Your voice is amazing. Didn't match the instrumental in my playlist. Yada, yada, yada. And you can rate this feedback specific enough, could be better. And I think you could even flag feedback if it's like really bad. If you get feedback in another language, you can click translate, which is dope, and read it in your own native language, which is awesome. So that's the kind of feedback. It's generally kind of vague, but, and honestly, most of the time, I don't read it. And that might be kind of offensive to say to curators that are doing this, but it's just like, I don't care. Like, I know my music is good for the type of music that it is in my genre, and I don't trust a random curator's opinion on it. I trust people that I trust opinion, that are like experts in music production or like really talented songwriters. Someone's like, yeah, I don't like this, like, you know, whatever. I don't really care. Most of these people aren't musicians either. They're just listeners. But it is good to check it out. Now, approved, I can click this approved and look at these 20. You can see all the approvals, the listeners' engagement, what playlist I was shared to, what the listeners are like in each of those playlists. And I could go and look at the individual curators as well. And generally, you're going to get emails for every single one of these submissions that you get sent in. Now, I want to take a quick look at the kind of averages here. Like this Sunrise one did pretty good, right? Like 30 to 40% acceptance rate. This one did like 25%, or exactly 25%. This one did decent. This one did pretty bad. This one did average, but, you know, lower end. 18 to 1, really bad. 8 to 1, really bad. 13 to 2, not too far off. 9 to 5, nearly 50%. 21 to 9, nearly 50%. So, and then this one's like 20, 25 or something percent. So, you know, those are kind of what you've expected. I've done a ton of these campaigns, as you can see, and the list keeps going down and down. So I think I have a lot of experience, and I hope you take my advice and implement some of this in your next SubmitHub campaign. Again, there's a link in the description to get a coupon code. I'll link to a playlist here on Facebook ads, because that's my preferred method of music marketing, actually, and the playlisting is just a much smaller thing. And then I'll link to that SubmitHub versus playlist push video down here as well. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.